Hi there, thank you for joining this 45-minute class of Yin Yoga. If you've got a few blocks handy and a belt handy, or maybe rolled up towel or a rolled up mat, just for kind of using as props. So we're going to be working on ankles, legs, side of the legs, inner legs, and hips and the back, but we've only got 45 minutes today, so just do what we can, and we'll hold each stretch for between 3 and 5 minutes. So we're going to start with the butterfly. So the first two poses we're doing are butterfly and Sphinx. So these two are the most basic yin poses that we can try and do every day if possible. So for butterfly, there's a couple of ways you can do butterfly. You can do it seated, so if you're seated you would have it sitting maybe on a block or a rolled up towel, which just helps to tilt the pelvis forward better, which helps us to fold forward better, and we get further and deeper into the stretch. So for the butterfly, the soles of the feet can be bent close in to the body. We can interlock our fingers and take them round the toes, and to be a bit more of a deeper stretch we would draw our chest forward and our shoulders back, and bring the knees down towards the floor, and we get a deep stretch, quite intense stretch in the inner thighs. So if you like intense, that's good to stay with the feet close into the body. A bit more yang if it's that intense. For me this is probably 8 out of 10 intensity. Yin really should be 4 or 5 out of 10, because we're holding it for say 5 minutes. So if you want to have less intensity, take the feet further away and come to rest forward. And here again you can get your blocks to rest your elbows on, or cushions, or you can rest the elbows in towards the feet. And here we might still get that intensity in the inner thigh. We might get the stretch in our lower back or even our hamstrings. So I'll set my timer for 5 minutes to give us a chance to kind of marinate in the juices. So the juices are the synovial fluid juices that are working around the body, helping to loosen off, helping to send that lubrication around the joints and the muscles. So because we're in for a while, sometimes our mind might wander, so we can bring our attention to our breathing. We can close the eyes, which helps us to go deeper internally into the stretch, into the sensations. We can, if we want to, focus a bit more with the eyes closed on that deep breath in and out through the nose if possible. So whether you decided to stay more upright or with the feet closer in or more rounded, you might have now noticed that the sensation in the inner thigh has maybe eased off a bit. So here you can go a little bit deeper, and by drawing the feet in a bit more and coming forward, and the stretch is intensified again, or going a bit deeper maybe bringing your head down to your hands or a block to rest your head on the hands or the block. You can, if you like, if you're not quite there with the head on the hands of the block, you can make two fists with your hands and then make the bringing the hands up towards the head. And then for the last 6 breaths, just go as deep as you like. And from the yin pose, we prepare to lift out very slowly. And that helps us to notice that we're alive. As we've been in 5 minutes, the sensations are quite intense as we lift out. So we lift up slowly and stretch the legs out slowly, or bring the knees together first. Maybe notice the sensations in the hip area or the glutes, and then for the rebound or the counter pose, if you're on a block, move that away, feet apart and knees apart for windshield wipers. So these are what we notice is the rebound as we come out of the yin stretch. So the knees are side to side. We're internally and externally rotating the hips. So again, we're sending that synovial fluid, or the lubrication, the oil, around the joints in the hips and the spine. Okay, so now coming into Sphinx. So Sphinx, we come to lie on our front, and again with Sphinx there's a few different options. The Sphinx is quite intense for some people, so normally we have the elbows just resting underneath the shoulders, and we just stay here for the 5 minutes. If it starts to get too much, we go into Crocodile. So you make a pillow with your hands and rest a cheek on the pillow, and you bring the big toes together and the heels out. And you breathe, if you can, into your lower back. So you feel as though you're expanding the back and the side ribs. So that's only if Sphinx doesn't feel comfortable. So if Sphinx feels a little bit tough, you could take the elbows away a little, so we haven't got as much of a back bend. If Sphinx feels okay, we'll stay here for a few breaths. You can bring your chin towards your chest and then feel the stretch in the back of the neck. It's quite nice. We could lift up and look forward. So we're strengthening our back here. We're compressing our lower back especially, and we're stretching out the front of the body. So we're stretching out a gentle stretch for the hips, the front of the hips and the thighs, a stretch for the tummy and the chest. So if you want to make the Sphinx a little bit more relaxing, you can bring the elbows forward and rest your chin in your hands. And maybe close the eyes. So these are just options, and you could stay in these or move along with me. So the next one is Sphinx with the bow tie. So Sphinx with the bow tie is helping to open our shoulder blades. So if you bring your right hand in front and you're taking your right hand over to the left hand side, and then the left hand is walking over to the right hand side, and then you kind of created a tie or a crossover with your arms, and you just bring your chin just resting on that arm that's in front. So this is your right bicep, or your cheek on the bicep, or whichever feels comfortable. To make this one a bit more intense, you would bring the hands to opposite shoulder and try and walk the elbows away from each other a bit more, not as relaxing. You could have your palms on the floor, palms up, palms down. So you want to lift up out of the bow tie. So you gently draw the arms forward, or elbows in line with each other, and then we go the other way. So our left arm is in front, walking the left fingertips over to the right, and walking the right fingertips over to the left. So this time you'll be resting your chin or your cheek on your left bicep. If you want to, you can take hold of opposite shoulders. Stepping out again slowly back to Sphinx. And then the other option, just for a couple of breaths, will be to lift both feet up. Again, that makes it deeper compression, strengthening for our lower back, deeper stretch for the front of the body. And then slowly lowering down the legs, then coming into the crocodile. So making a pillow with your hands, resting the cheek on the pillow, bring the big toes together and the heels out to the side. If you're looking to your right elbow, draw your right knee up towards your right elbow. And slowly draw the right knee down. And turn to look to the left elbow. Draw the left knee up towards the left elbow. Resting the cheek on the hands. And left leg slowly back down, and come out of this very, very slowly. So pressing into the elbows, pushing up into the elbows. Okay, and then we're coming into wide knee child pose with a twist. So the big toes are together, knees are out, quite wide apart as they'll go. Okay, and then the bottom back to the heels, or you can bring the blanket or block or rolled up towel onto your feet to rest the bottom there. So first of all, walk the hands forward as far as they'll go, and the hands are slightly wider than shoulder width. What we're going to do is take the right hand with the palm facing up as far as we can over to the left, resting the right shoulder down on the floor and the right ear down on the floor. And then if you want to, you can keep those left fingertips stretched forward, or you can bring your left hand onto your lower back. So we're holding here for 3 minutes. If you've got quite long arms, you might be able to bring your left hand right on top of the right thigh, in between your right thigh and your right side of your waist. Just make sure your head's comfortable, so the head can be a bit more over to the left, or it can be just kind of in line with your shoulder. Just see what feels comfortable. And here we're going to focus on even breath. So here we're breathing in for a count of 4 or 5 or 6, and then you're breathing out for a count of 4, 5 or 6, so it's equal breath. So whatever you breathe in for, that's what you breathe out for, and you're trying to make your breath maybe a 10-second breath. So that's in for 5 and out for 5. A 10-second breath means we're only breathing in and out for that 6 times each minute. So we're slowing down our breathing, slowing down our heart rate, moving into the rest and digest system. helping to reduce blood pressure. Again, it's quite nice to close the eyes, to go deeper within and to notice sensations, notice lovely deep breath. And if your left hand's behind, we stretch the left hand forward, press into the left hand, lifting up slowly and changing to the opposite side. So left hand threads under with the palm up as far as we can towards the left hand side, and left shoulder rests, left cheek rests. You can either stretch the right fingertips forward, feeling a stretch in the chest, or we can bring our right hand onto our lower back or onto our left thigh, making sure the head and the neck feels comfortable, and again holding for 3 minutes, focusing on the even breath, the equal breath, either a 10-second breath, an 8-second breath, 12-second breath, whatever your comfort is with your equal breath. And again, lift out slowly. So stretching the right hand forward, pressing into the right hand to press up into tabletop. And to open up the back of the legs, we'll step the right heel back, press the right heel back, change sides, left heel back. So we just want to feel that opening up of the back of the legs here. So now we're going into supported bridge, which another opens up the front of the body. So opening up our hip flexors, our chest. So here we could have 3 blocks, or 1 block or 2 blocks. So if we have the block that way and we're resting our sacrum or our tailbone on the block, so we just want to rest, and then the shoulders and the arms are on the floor. We might want to do a couple of the pelvic tilts to just check that our back feels comfortable. We don't want the block or the cushion or blanket digging into our lower back. And here, a couple of options with the legs. So the knees can be together and the feet out, or the feet can be in the butterfly, so soles of the feet together. More intense would be to stretch the legs out. And then if you want to, and you've got more blocks, you would maybe have some extra blocks, but only if it feels comfortable for your back. You need to be careful with the back if the legs are stretched out. Quite nice for the adductors, the inner thighs, to have the feet, of the soles of the feet together. It's great for the back, preventing sciatica, or knees together and feet apart for what we call constructive rest. So here we want to bring the hands onto the tummy and to work on that deep breath again. This time we're focusing on the rise and fall of the tummy. So the rise is where the tummy expands on your inhale, and then the tummy releases on your exhale. So the fingertips if the fingertips are together, the fingertips separate on the inhale and then slowly come back together on your exhale. So we're staying in this one for 5 minutes. About halfway, I'll tell you when we're halfway, and if you want to you can change the position of the legs and the feet, so you could start in constructive rest and halfway you could move into reclining butterfly. It's up to you. about halfway. You want to stay with the same position or change position. Still focusing on as deep a breath as possible, breathing not just into the chest, breathing into the tummy and the side ribs and then the chest for full abdominal breathing. So whichever shape you're making will come out slowly. So if you have a couple of blocks or a high prop, slowly remove those. So we need to just do some gentle movements here for our spine. So first of all, just pressing the feet into the floor and the hands into the floor, we do the pelvic tilt. So arching the back off the mat and then pressing the back into the mat. And a couple of those. So kind of a reverse or lying down cat and cow. And then bringing the knees in towards the chest, hugging the knees in. And stretch out one leg as you hug one knee in towards the chest. Slowly draw the other knee into the chest, extend the leg along the floor. One more each side. Okay, so from here I'm going to show you 3 different versions of swan or pigeon. So the first, we'll go through them and they get a little bit more intense for the knees. So the first one is reclining. So first of all, right ankle over the left knee. And here, it might be enough just to press the right knee away. You might feel that's enough for your right hip, your right glute. And if you want to go deeper, you can take the left foot off the floor and draw the hands either underneath your left knee, so you're interlocking and threading the hands through, or they can come on top of the left shin. You want to keep your head resting on the floor with your chin towards your chest. Try not to have the chin throwing back, because that's just compressing your neck. So you want to feel the length in the back of the neck. You also, here, target area you're working on stretching is your right hip and your right glute. So if you take your right foot over to the left a bit, you'll feel maybe a deeper stretch in your right hip and your right glute. If you take the knees side to side as well, If you draw that left knee in a bit more, you have to deeper stretching the right hip. We don't really want to be lifting the tailbone or the sacrum off the floor. So we can stay here for the full 5 minutes, or we can lift up to do the same stretch seated. So here you might need to stretch away the left foot, the left leg is straight, and then we can draw that left foot in towards the body and drawing the chest forward. So this one isn't very yin, you can't really relax like this, but it is quite a nice intense stretch for the right hip and the right glute. So maybe come up to that and see how it feels, and then go back into reclining swan or pigeon. Or then the final version, which is the one where we need to make sure our knees stay safe, is the right shins forward and the left legs back. So that's one version, to keep the left leg bent, or edge the left leg back and come forward. So your right heel now will maybe a little bit underneath your left thigh. If your right hip's right off the floor, get yourself a block or a blanket or a cushion just to rest your right glute and your right hip on. If you want to, you can turn your left toes under and stretch the left leg back. And then here we can lift up and draw the chest forward for proud swan. Or we can come forward onto the elbows, or for sleeping swan, even resting our head in our hands. And then rest and notice, breathing. lifting out slowly, whichever version you're in, releasing back onto our backs for the opposite side. We'll go through the different versions again. So first of all, just bringing the knees into the chest and stretch the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. So push the heels away, toes towards the face. We're just here opening up the back of the legs. If you want to, you can interlock the fingers, take them behind the hamstrings or behind the calves, and feel the opening in the backs of the knees, the hamstrings, the calves. If you want to, just bring the feet over the head slightly. And then we'll move into the other side. So left ankle over right thigh. And taking the left knee out to the side slightly. And then further with this stretch is drawing the hands through behind the right thigh, right foot off the floor, or hands on top of the right shin. So here to protect the knees, if the knees are a bit fragile, we can flex the toes. And all that does is stabilise the muscles around the knee. So here drawing the knee in towards the chest, that right knee in towards the chest will intensify the stretch in the left hip and the left glute. Taking the left foot over to the right intensifies it a bit more. A really great stretch here for our glutes, our piriformis, our hips. Great for the back to release off all those areas. And if you want to have a deeper stretch, we would lift up. So bringing the right foot down, pressing into the elbows to lift up to seated swan. So again, we bring the chest forward. Might be quite intense, so you could stretch the right foot away a bit, even straightening out that right leg. Or draw the right foot in. Come with the chest as close as you can to the left shin. And then maybe seeing how the proud swan feels. That's with the left shin towards the front of the mat and coming forward maybe, or upright with the right knee bent maybe, or the right leg straight back, so turning the right toes under to stretch that right leg back. Now your left heel might be underneath your right thigh. And here you could have a block to go underneath your left hip, left glute. Can stay upright, chest forward. If you like, move into your sleeping swan. whichever shape you've chosen, lifting out really slowly. Coming to lie again on your back. Bringing the knees into the chest. Again, if it feels good, we can stretch the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, push the heels away, toes towards the face. Again, if we like, we can interlock the fingers and take hold behind the hamstrings or the calves. And try and reach up for our toes. Just feel that opening in the back of the legs. And rotate the toes, loosen up the ankles, and then finish with a reclining twist. So the feet are together and the knees are together, arms out like a T shape. And taking our knees down to the right hand side. And holding here for 6 deep breaths, feeling the stretch up the left hand side of the body. And we try to stretch fingertips away. And slowly draw the knees back to the centre. Maybe a couple of pelvic tilts, squeezing up and down. When you're ready, taking the knees down to the left hand side. Feel this lovely stretch up the outside of the right side, so right hips, maybe right glutes, right lower back. 6 deep breaths. And then knees slowly to the centre. Stretch out both legs, feet together, and then slowly breathe in. Stretch the arms above the head, and breathe out slowly. Bring the arms down, and bring the knees into the chest. You should feel nicely stretched off in the hips, glutes, back. And if you're ready, we can roll up to seated, or we can stay a little bit more relaxation if you want to. And thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed. Enjoy the rest of the evening and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.